based on our clinical performance, I mean, just kind of, we always start with the low hanging fruit. So like if people are coming into the show and they, want a lot of the nuance, more granular stuff, right? Supplement wise, we'll talk about that too. But we also have to make sure people that are coming in that don't have a good foundation, we have to assume that foundation's not there. So of course, getting inflammation in the body down and in the gut makes a huge difference, because inflammation in the gut will create inflammation in the brain. And inflammation in the brain will activate certain immune cells in the brain, right? So you have these astrocytes, which are like that make up the blood-brain barrier, which prevent things on the inside going into the brain, right? Outside going in. So if you can have good blood-brain barrier, that's important. And then once you get things going into the blood-brain barrier, into the brain, that's going to activate these cells, these immune cells called microglial cells. And these are basically part of the brain's immune system that go in there and clean up inflammation and gunk. And when those brain cells or immune cells are activated, those microglial cells are activated, that's actually going to create cognitive issues, brain fog and things like that, mood issues. A lot of the new wave of antidepressants and mood medications that are coming out are actually working on brain inflammation. So we know inflammation plays a massive role. And the hallmark of inflammation is going to be cytokines, interleukins, C-reactive protein, maybe other inflammatory metabolites, nuclear factor kappa beta. Of course, part of the inflammation is going to be an activation of the immune system on one side. And usually there's cells that are going to be broken down at a faster rate than they're building up, whether it's inflammation from bad foods, excess omega-6 chunky fats, trans fats, hydrogenated oils, pesticides, mold toxins, could be bacterial toxins, mycotoxins from fungus and yeast, acetaldehyde from alcohol and yeast byproducts. So all of our gut bacteria, yeast, parasites, all of these things are going to create endotoxins or internal toxins, endogenous toxins in the body. And then of course we have exogenous toxins in the environment, like our mold, heavy metals, pesticides, chemicals like that, plastics, xenoestrogens, all of these things are going to be in the environment. And of course, all the foods we put into our body. And then of course, the more nutrient poor our food are, right? The more nutrient poor our food is, the more crap, the more junk, the less nutrients you have to run those metabolic pathways to run optimally.
Yeah, great job laying the groundwork, because people coming in are going to say, well, why? Why do we need a whole podcast dedicated to improving brain function? And the answer is because we're up against so much. So you did a great job kind of highlighting that. It's the food, it's the air, it's the water, it's the heavy metals. It could be the silver amalgam fillings in your mouth. I mean, there's a lot of things that are in our environment now that are neurotoxic. They're not just highly estrogenic and endocrine disrupting, but they're also neurotoxins, and we're breathing them in every day. And you and I've measured hundreds, if not thousands at this point, of clients around the world. And I've seen children as young as 2 and 3 years old with massive toxicity, from gasoline additives to phthalates to xylene to nail polish chemicals and hairspray chemicals and 2,4-D and glyphosate. I mean, it's amazing just how toxic people are. I would tell you, just based on looking at this clinically, the most toxic people on the planet right now, according to me running all these labs, would be children less than age 10. And I think it's due to just the toxicity of the planet that's increased, but also this maternal transfer through breast milk and through the placenta. All the women that grew up in the 70s and 80s and 90s and now 2000s that are having children, that multi-generational toxicity really built up. Whereas someone like my grandparents, growing up in the 1940s, glyphosate wasn't even around for the first 30 plus years of their life. So there was a lag, basically. And now the lag has caught up.
Exactly.